to further that point, another question regarding it on the child's wishes. It says, how do you prefer advocates present a child's wishes regarding custody visitation arrangements?
Well, my first question as a judge, I'll give you the world's most lawyer-like answer. It depends. Largely, it depends on how old the child is. For example, in Colorado, when assessing the best interests of the child, one of the criteria is whether the child is old enough to express an opinion. I am both a father and a grandfather. I have to say that I look askance when someone says, this 2-year-old says, I absolutely never want to see my mother. All right? That's pretty difficult for me to deal with. The essence of that question, I think, in some ways is, do we ever listen to the child's testimony? And I think that is a very, very hard question for judges. I will listen to what you tell me the child says. I will listen to what the child tells the child family investigator or the therapist the child says. I may, depending on the age and maturity of the child, listen to the child herself. But remember that there's this great urban myth that every 12-year-old in a divorce case knows, that when I'm 12, I get to decide where I live. See them laugh?
13, I thought.
Oh, it's gone down. They all think it's 12. And I'm not going to do that. I may listen to what a 15 or a 16-year-old has to say. I'm probably not, with all due respect, going to let a 10, 11, or 12-year-old make that decision for him or herself.
And again, I want to do as little damage to that child as possible. Already, they're going to be in a situation that's emotionally fraught. And if you have a child who actually loves both parents, and often you have a situation where you have a child who is desperately in love with both parents, wants both parents, doesn't want a divorce. And so when they go to dad and say, I want to live with you, and then 3 days later they say to mom, I want to live with you, both of those are probably true. It doesn't mean they love mom more. It doesn't mean they love dad more. It means they don't want to hurt the people they love. So when you were listening to Dan talk about hearsay, remember you were talking about reliability? Depending on the age of the child, and also other circumstances, because if you've got domestic violence involved, I want to know about that. I'm going to have I'm going to look at it askance when mom says, oh, well, the child has told me that she loves me best and she wants to live with me. Because dad is going to get up on the stand and say, the child has told me that she loves me best and she lives with me. How reliable are those statements?
And as an advocate, offering the wishes of the child, we have a best interest statute in Colorado that has 9 factors the courts to consider. And Judge McGahey touched on it, and there's an extra part of it. And that extra part is that, sure, the court will listen to the child, but they've got to be mature enough to offer a reasonable opinion. And that opinion has to be not subject to outside influences. So as an advocate, I have clients who come to me and say, well, my daughter wants to live with me. I rarely really want to hang my hat on the wishes of the child in front of a judge, because I think most judges look at what a parent says their child has said with probably maybe a bit of a skeptic's eye, and they're going to look at all the other factors in Colorado, and I suspect most of you have similar statutes that you work with.
Can I also say that it's also fairly obvious to the judge when the parents are using the child as a weapon of mass destruction against their spouse?
Or a bargaining chip.
And we don't like that. We don't like that at all. Because again, who's the most important person in our courtroom? It's not your clients, it's the child.
Amen.